Sejam bem-vindos a... Não, pera. Esse vai ser mais um episódio em inglês, tá? Convidamos Dan Pop, né? Tem o link do Twitter dele, tá? Ele que é Community Manager, a gente apresenta ele daqui a pouco no episódio mesmo, e também o Dave Flanagan, que é o Rawkode, tá? E o Ricardo Katz, que é nosso amigo aqui do Brasil, mas que participou e a gente gravou tudo em inglês, né? Os caras não falam português. Então, esse é um disclaimer. Tipo, assiste, escuta, tem bastante coisa que os caras podem contribuir e demos bastante risada também aí. Aproveita, espero que você goste do episódio e que essa não seja uma barreira, mas sim seja um episódio que possa agregar, tá bom? Vamos ao episódio. Welcome to Kubicast. I am your favorite host of Kubicast, John Brite, international, now in this episode. And with me, we have three famous guests, and we will start with Dan Pop, director of open source community, and a lot of things from Popcast and Cloud Native TV, and I will let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Dan Papandre. You may know me, and obrigado to everybody out there in Brazil world, right? Is that what we say? Yeah. Hello. Yes, I'm host of a show called the Popcast, which is it's basically the people behind the code. We have real stories of that type of thing. I'm the director of open source, as João talked about, at Sysdig. Sysdig, a company that has a secure DevOps platform for folks all the way from build all the way to the post-mortem. Been there for 5 years. It's a wonderful company to be at. I really feel like we've built a great thing over there. And also, along with my dear friend here, David Rawkode, part of something called Cloud Native TV, which is the CNCF Twitch, executive producer and co-chair, David as well as a co-chair of it. We've had a lot of fun building it together. As much as we publicly spat, as we've had a really great spat, had a great time, building it. So yeah, that's kind of me.
Okay, nice. And we have Dave Flanagan, the Rawkode, with us, and you can introduce yourself too.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm David Flanagan. You'll know me as Rawkode. I'm a developer advocate focused on cloud native, Kubernetes, all the bits in between. Currently working at Equinix Metal. As Dan said, I work with him on Cloud Native TV. I also have my own stream and show on YouTube called Rawkode Academy. Check it out at rawkode.live. And the thing I'm most proud of is making Dan eat a pineapple pizza live on my show. Greatest day ever.
All right, we should talk about this. Okay, let's talk about the whole behind. Everyone, look, if you're new to this whole cloud native thing, this man tormented me like no other. Like for 6 months, I mean, I was at the point of telling people in the code of conduct how I was being completely tormented. So the bet was, I was like, I am such a staunch, at the time, now I'm just, whatever. I'm such a staunch, no frills, like pizza person. And so David was like, we were talking or whatever, and it ended up being this thing escalated to, okay, you need to, I was like, you know what, screw it. If I got to X amount of followers for the Popcast, Twitter and YouTube, that I would eat a full medium or, pineapple pizza. Okay, so I mean, it was to the letter, like probably to the last day, right? We were at I think, like I said, it was 2000. I think we were at 1800. I'm like, I got 4 hours left. There's no way. So what happens?
I called in a favor from our friend Ian Coldwater. They tweeted it, and boom, target met. Done.
But not even target met, like target obliterated. It was like 3,000 by the end of it. And so we have this stream, and I don't know if we have a link to it, but where literally, I mean, the whole stream was literally me eating this medium pizza, the full pineapple pizza. It was, again, it was a rough day in Dan Papandrea's world. Very rough day.
Yeah. Has Leo's dad ever forgiven you?
I have to go to Italy and do a pilgrimage Like I promised him that. You should see this. Like if you watch this video, this look of disappointment on this man's face. It's like I spat and beat up his mother or something like this. Pardon my French. I would never do that, but you know what I'm saying. I've never seen such disappointment on somebody's face. It was crazy. But thank you, David. Thank you for making me look bad in front of Leo's dad. Leo Di Donato right here. Props, dude.
Like I said, best day ever.
I'll get you back someday. Trust me.
Sure, I'll eat a haggis.
Okay. And at last, but not the least, someone who don't need some introduction, Ricardo Katz, our friendly co-host here.
Hey, what's up, folks? So I guess you know me, but I am Ricardo. I work at VMware. I am a CNCF ambassador together with Pop and David. They forgot to tell about that, but I am introducing that because that's the only title that I have other than like being staff engineer at VMware. I am not a co-host of anything. And I am on Pop's side about pineapple pizza. I think it's disgusting. But on the other hand, I think that's good for the ecosystem to make Pop eat weird things and talk about cloud native stuff. So maybe the next pizza should be the what's that Australian thing that Lachlan is telling you to
don't
eat?
Don't start. Like really? You got this guy with the haggis. So all in Brazil. Can somebody explain, David? Explain what a haggis is to folks so they understand, right?
Haggis.
What
Yeah.
haggis is?
So haggis is when you've taken all the good meat off of an animal and you pull out the livers, the heart, the kidneys, all the offal, all the bits that are left, and then you stick them inside the stomach of the animal and boil it.
Yeah.
And this man, this sadistic man, wants me to eat this.
It is lovely. It is lovely.
I won't do that for ratings. I won't.
It's good for the ecosystem, to the cloud native ecosystem, Pop.
Between this guy and Oleg, do you all know Oleg from the CDF? He's like Jenkins, lead or whatever. Oleg every week was like, Papa, you need to eat this, this, and this. And I'm like, somebody put the kiwi pizza up. And I'm like, y'all, come on, please. I have children. It's rough.
That could be your new show. Dan Eats every Friday on YouTube, and it's just some random crappy food.
Save that for the cloud native TV meetings where we're figuring out creative.
I'm gonna suggest you, Bill. Like, hey, Bill, we should have a cloud native show that Pops eats something, and got some sponsors for that.
You just know when conferences are a thing again, you're going to be out for dinner one night with a few people, and you're just going to have so many pineapple pizzas showing up. I guarantee it at every table.
Yeah.
I hate you. I was trying to take the high road with you. I hate you, dude. That's it. I'm done. Okay. Back to you, João.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm not the guy for pineapple pizzas or weird eatings.
Outnumbered, David. Outnumbered, just like it should be.
They are, but imagine Pop, like a collocated KubeCon event where people go just to watch you eating weird stuff. It's gonna be like bigger than the Bpf Summit.
I like this idea. You all, Valencia, right there. Okay. Well, we're gonna be doing it in Valencia. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna see how much paella I can eat in one sitting.
I'll bring the haggis.
Can we put haggis in the paella? Like everybody in Valencia right now, everybody in Spain is crying right now. We'll get to the topic at hand. I mean, João, did you have something planned? No, right? We're just gonna go riff for the whole thing.
Well, but from Brazil, I would take feijoada from you to try it.
What's this?
Feijoada, it's like rice, beans, and pork parts.
All the parts of the pork.
All the parts, like
the ear.
tail, the ear.
Sounds awful. See what I did there?
I do, yeah, I like that. Sign me up. I want to try that. That sounds great.
Yeah, David's like licking his chops over there, down there. Delish. Just like grandma, just like me now used to make.
I'm thinking we will not talk about Kubernetes and cloud native nothing today.
Are we live
You know
yet?
what though?
Did we start?
You know what though? Like honestly, I said this a bunch of times, but the way to people in cloud natives' hearts is their stomachs. Literally, like I once posted at literally one of this like life-changing like tips or whatever that I found, right? It got nothing compared to like when David posted me eating a pineapple pizza, for God's sakes. Literally, it got like 1% of the amount of impressions. So it's just like the way to people's heart in cloud native is definitely food, without a doubt.
There's
Yeah.
also in the official CNCF GitHub now, there is a cloud native cookbook repository where you can go and add all of your own recipes via a pull request and share them with the cloud native community.
Which company put that together, David?
That would be Equinix Metal. Plug.
I actually contributed a recipe to it, y'all.
Yeah,
I
but
saw-
not that.
Cacio de pepe.
I saw a bunch from Carlos.
Shout out to
put, like-
Carlos.
yeah, shout out to Carlos.
Carlos is the crown jewel of Brazil. I'm gonna tell you that guy should be the prime
Yeah.
minister. By far, that man is the most. It blows my mind. Like, can we talk about Panato for like? I'm sorry, we're going off on a tangent here. We talk about Panato for 5 minutes. Let's talk about this guy. Okay, listen. He's one of the release leads for Kubernetes. He's one of the release leads for Sigstore. He's one of the release leads for Falco. He
English and
literally.
dialects.
And he has a day job, and he's helping us with Cloud Native TV. He wrote a bot in 20 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
If this man isn't the VIP of not only Cloud Native of life, this guy should get the presidential Medal of Honor from every country. Like every country. You kidding me?
You know, I was yesterday researching a bunch of stuff about, I guess David also posted this week a library in Rust about dealing with container registries. Was you or Dave or Daniel Magnum? I can't remember. And I was like, hey, I just know how to do things with Go, so I'm gonna take a look into the Go container library stuff. And I was there and I saw like Carlos avatar as well in the Google Go register, and I say, come on, he's like in every single
Everywhere.
Yeah,
He is everywhere.
exactly.
Everywhere. And not only is he doing all this amazing work, but he's also given me food and beer envy on his Twitter every weekend as well. Like so many great photos of all these meals he's having, all these different beers he's trying. I don't know how he finds the time.
If I'm having a bad day, if I'm having like one of the worst days, I just go to Carlos's timeline and I smile. If I have I could get hit by a bus and I will literally just look at Carlos's timeline and just start laughing and have a good time. He's a national treasure. Brazil, you should give this man like a red carpet when he comes back to the country.
Yes.
So, João, I think this is like some sort of way of telling you should interview Carlos if you didn't. I can't remember. I guess you didn't.
I already interviewed him, and I see him everywhere.
Yeah,
He's
Panato
in
is
all
amazing.
projects. He's everywhere. Everywhere this avatar Panato everywhere. Oh, saying about everywhere. I saw last weekend this video from Rawkode that people broke Kubernetes and you try to fix it live.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I can talk about that. So there's on my YouTube channel, there's a series we started in January called Clustered. And the whole premise is that, I and a guest, or maybe it's team version where we get teams from different cloud native organizations, they come on and their mission is to upgrade an application running on a Kubernetes cluster that has been intentionally broken. And, these are not trivial breaks. People are getting very creative with this, but the cluster has been intentionally broken by the other guest or the other team, and it's their job to fix it in under 45 minutes, or at least get as much of it working as they can within 45 minutes. The idea being is that we can produce content that is, fun and engaging and all of that, but at the same time, you're learning valuable lessons on how other people debug, identify root cause, and just basically try and fix things. So it's such a great concept, if I just say so myself, and I've loved every minute of working on it. So.
Yeah.
It really is a unique concept, and you know how much I really can't stand giving this man compliments, but I'm gonna do it. It's like, if you think about this, right? It's, how do you learn to debug something unless you see it? Like, all of us are these folks that, like, you have to, you see these things if you're an SRE or whatever, what have you, if you're, obviously a developer or an operator. And to be able to see it from companies and people, like I always go back to the Thomas Stromberg episode again from Equinix Metal. The man, I've never, like, there was tools this man was whipping out that I've never seen, like I haven't seen in 10 years, and he got to the root of that. And you all should check out the episode, and check out all of the episodes. I get nothing for this plug, and so, like, it was incredible what he did. I mean, he troubleshoot this to the nth degree. But also, I think David, props, as much as I hate to do this, on doing the team aspect. I mean, Container Solutions came on a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was really cool because they were the fixers and the breakers and all of that. It's such a really novel concept, and yeah, really good shit, dude.
I think one of the most evil episode I watched was Tim Hawking one. Like, Tim was really evil. He changed it, like. Yeah, I guess he made his own container runtime interface, as far as I remember, and replaced that, and was like.
Yeah, so I'll mention both of those episodes, and thanks, Pop, for the nice words. I know that must have hurt, but if we go back to
I'm in pain right now, dude.
If we go back to the Thomas Stromberg episode, he was on the same episode as Chris Nova, and what I think was amazing is that it just wouldn't have worked if it wasn't those two together. It was extremely lucky because Chris Nova is a kernel hacker, Linux contributor, has been working with Kubernetes for many, many years. She just knew exactly what she was doing to the perfect. And she used eBPF and all these other things to hide the tracks. So already there's a big, massive mountain in front of us. But Thomas Stromberg, who's worked at Google for the last, or was at Google, is now actually Equinix Metal, had spent 15 years at Google doing, at one point, forensic analysis of break-ins on Linux servers. And what we got in that 45-minute segment of Thomas coming on was the way that you would approach that as if someone had literally hacked your machine, which is what Chris did. So Thomas just pulls out this kit called Slothkit, which I don't think I'd heard of. Pops says he didn't heard of. I don't think many people had heard of this before, because why would you? And under 30 seconds to a minute, had a snapshot of every change on that device in the last 48 hours, and was like, I'm just going to leave that there in case I need it. And it was just a silence. I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, what have you done? Don't show people this. This just ends clustered. This is the golden key. But it was just perfect. I think that episode is definitely one of my favorites. And Ricardo mentioning the Tim Hawking one. Tim is the only person we've ever had to split the fix into 2 episodes. It was just that crazy. We had to go back for a part 2. We actually spent 50 minutes. It was Noel Fresbo, Noel Georgie, if you know him. Just like, we have no idea what he's done. Like, he had just destroyed this thing, and we were like, you know what, we're not giving up. And we went back on the stream the following day. We did another hour, eventually got it fixed. But the only person that's ever made us split up a fix over 2 episodes. Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you who don't speak Scottish, he said Sleuthkit, not Slothkit. So just want to go ahead and correct it for everybody first. And then secondly, totally agree on Hawking. First off, Hawking, Godfather, Consigliere, he's the best. The Matt Moore episode was really, really good. And again, not because I was his partner in it, but we set that up for a couple of days. And so the idea there was, we had red herrings in the beginning of a bunch of typos and manifest files and stuff like that. But underneath there was like a mutating webhook that he put in. So it was like, after like 20 minutes of doing all of that, all of the like YAML fixes, all of that, then that thing just came into play. It was so genius. It's so beautiful. Like, I was just like, when he was like, Pop, I have this idea. And if you see Matt Moore give that grin, you know something's gonna really bad's gonna happen. So it was, like I said, it's been fun, watching David's original shows progress to like where he was breaking stuff and having some folks on to having its grow to the way it's grown. So it's really cool, David.
Yeah.
God, I hate saying that.
The valuable lesson actually from Matt's break was I don't think I and many others that watched it even knew you could run the mutating admission controller outside of the cluster. So I never seen it as a pod, and I just assumed, well, it's not a mutating admission controller. And of course, he had this thing running on his own Knative cluster in his house somewhere, probably on a Raspberry Pi in a basement, sitting there fucking with my cluster the whole time. I could not have
They
been
kept
more.
on removing. You know, the whole process was he kept on removing the nodes from etcd. It just kept on removing the nodes. It was beautiful because every time he kept on adding, it was removing them again. It just he had the shit-eating grin the whole time. Like he was just laughing about it. It was so funny. So
Good times.
That's an amazing way to learn how to debug stuff. So yeah, shout out to David about that.
Oh yeah, I've learned so much. We're 20 plus episodes in, over 50 or 60 clusters around there now, and what I think is great is that we've seen people start off with like really superficial breaks, like configuration changes, downgrading the versions of the kubelet, and now we're at a stage where people are actually modifying the kubelet or the API server, recompiling it, distributing their own images, shipping them onto the machine. They're just going to town, and the way that the breaks are getting more creative and the fixers are getting better, it just is really entertaining at the same time as educational.
You should do the clustered Brazilian edition, right? And so have some of the Brazilian fixes and breakers, right? So have the all stars, and then have some up and comers, right? Ricardo, drafting you for that. Come on, do it up.
Let's make it happen.
I can do that. I am better breaking stuff than fixing them. VMware is discovering this right now.
Can I throw another plug for David? And again, I really hate doing this. I really do, but I'm contractually obligated because of my executive producer status of Cloud Native TV to talk about this. So he does a show on Cloud Native TV. Please, you all follow. If you go to cloudnative.tv right now and follow, he does a show called LGTM. All right, and David, I'll let you kind of explain it. But when he and I were sitting in a room figuring out what we wanted to do and stuff like that, he came to us with this idea, and I was like, this is mind-blowing. It's like you do a live contribution. You have somebody from a CNCF project. He's had Prometheus on. He's had the folks from the release team.
Release team, open policy.
I saw the one with Eddie Zane, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah, we did the kube control one as well. Yeah, contributing to kube control.
Shout out to Eddie. Eddie is an amazing person as well.
Within the episode, I go back to going back to the Prometheus episode with the Ulysses, right? It was like within the episode, it's how you contribute to it, and because what is the first question you get when we're either in the hallway or it's always, how do I contribute to this project? What do I need to know? What languages do I need to know? So if you all, and these are all on YouTube as well. If you go to CNCF, there's older episodes. It's all in a playlist, and also you can look at the latest ones that are there. But just blown away by it. It's a really good concept. So, Dave, I won't keep on selling. It's all you at this point. But
I think you sold it better than I ever could. But yeah, just to reiterate what Pop said, like the first question I think we all get in conversations is, how do I contribute? And it can be very intimidating as new people to the cloud native ecosystem or to individual projects, that you're just looking at something that thousands or hundreds of people are working on, that they're all talking about. There's loads of issues. They're being closed really quickly. There's comments, there's pull requests, there's all these slash flags. Like just looking from the outside at any of these projects is intimidating. And LGTM wants to kind of change that. It's like, okay, you're interested in contributing to Prometheus or Kubernetes or Kube Control or Open Policy Agent or any of the CNCF projects. Well, you'll have 1 hour of content with me and a maintainer from that project that goes from literally zero to first contribution. So we include just cloning a repository. We do a high-level code walkthrough. We take a look at issues and the labels. We look at how you build the project, how you test the project, how you make a change, and then even submitting the PR and all the steps in between. So like, it really should hopefully just be like this definitive guide for, okay, I want to contribute to Prometheus, go watch this video. And you should learn hopefully everything that you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And if we talk about some of the other shows, if you all don't mind, I mean, some of the other shows we have a game show. It's pretty incredible. It's literally a game show. It's like, if you all remember, there was again, for the Brazilian folk, you might not know, there was a show in the States called The Family Feud. And on The Family Feud, you basically had this, concept, and you would be like, okay, here's a question. Here's like what we thought people would answer to this question. And they get on. So folks can come on, and there's the CNCF Cup, which is like a cup like we're going to give away. We're trying to give it KubeCon, but like we'll probably give it away virtually. We'll see like what happens. But the idea of this is basically like there's a tournament, there's brackets, and every week somebody comes on, a team comes on of 3 affiliated with CNCF projects, which is in general, and they answer these questions. And at the end of the day, we have the leaders kind of face off for who's going to get the CNCF Cup. It's run by Maddie Stratton. Great show. Kat Cosgrove has a show on. It's called Kat's Classroom, and I love it because it's a hey, what's the question is how these? Do you look at that landscape? There's like 300 projects over there. How the hell am I supposed to make sense of it, right? And so like she's like she has people on, and they explain like I'm 5 what these projects are about. So it's like you get that kind of basic understanding. Sejam, also on the show. Sejam, shout out, awesome dude. He has, all of us are looking to get certified, right? He's had, folks on that talk about, folks that have written tests, folks that have like written some of the, some of the content around like training for the test, and he's just a wonderful person. And so having that on every single week as a resource, we built this as entertainment, but also like I call it like techtainment, right? So it's basically like technical entertainment, because we don't want to make it like somebody doing like meetup level content where you go, oh, here's my blah blah blah. It's like let's make this interactive. And again, follow cloudnative.tv. But like we have so many great shows. We have a couple of new shows that are coming as well in September, and also like at KubeCon. We're going to be on the floor. So, God willing, we're able to go to LA. We'll have a booth set up so we can do the wrap-up shows. We have some really special announcements we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, but I'm really excited about it. Again, as much as I can't stand working with David, I mean, at the end of the day, we've built something with the team that I believe is phenomenal, and it helps people. At the end of the day, what are we here for? That's another beautiful thing about the community. We're here to help each other. And I love that fact, and I love what we've built.
Nice. So I read research that talk misconfiguration is maybe the major problem with Kubernetes and system administrator. But I think security is the second point that everyone should watch. And I know Sysdig a lot of time, and I want to bring Falco, that this project that came to my attention, and maybe explain to everyone like they have 5 what Falco,
Well, yeah.
Falco.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So, there's a couple of things. First off, I think the statistic you were talking about is misconfiguration and security. It's an Accenture. If you all are familiar with Accenture, cost the world, like the companies around the world, almost $5.2 trillion. $5.2 trillion in misconfiguration and security issues. And so if you look at this, there's various aspects of security, right? There's vulnerability management, there's runtime security, there's, benchmarking of hosts, there's, all types of things, there's authentication, right? And all of that, there's policies and that. Where, again, we built, if you look at Sysdig is built on an open source foundation. And that foundation is open source projects. If you look, our founder is Loris DeGiovanni. Loris is one of the creators of Wireshark. Okay, and Wireshark, obviously is a tool that is commonly used to be able to look for networking snafus and filtering and all that fun stuff. And so taking that concept to this containers and pods and Kubernetes, containers were these black boxes. You were able to see what happened on that, right? And so if you look at it from this perspective, Falco is I believe the best tool out there from a runtime perspective. What it does is it taps into the kernel, and it has a set of rules that you can create in YAML that allow you to go ahead and create outputs and do specific things. I know my friend here, Ricardo, wrote an amazing blog post about it, about how to do network level detection, and then have a remediation response as well. And so that's the beauty of it. And the other thing is, the community has contributed, as of this morning, 40 outputs to something called Falco Sidekick. Falco Sidekick to me is I'm so proud of that project because it's an add-on project that somebody from community, his name is Thomas Labarosius, he's in France. And he created this thing that allows you to output to various things like Slack, PagerDuty, and it's so extensible because it's a Go level app. And so, like, there's recent blogs where like we've written this response engine. So here's something like where a rule is triggered, like somebody terminaled into a container, or somebody wrote to a sensitive directory, or there was a pod was going out to an external network it shouldn't have been going to. Having that then trigger like Knative or OpenFaz or one of those type of things, a response where you kill the pod, is such a cool thing because then you're integrating with other tools in the ecosystem. So again, I'm super proud of that. And what I'm also super proud of is that is the basis for the Sysdig secure DevOps platform. So now you have, instead of you having to build all of these various things like vulnerability management, runtime, benchmarking, and post-mortem, using the power of Falco and open source, now you have this tool that's a platform that you have a SaaS managed backend, so you don't have to manage all of that data that's there, and you have that as a basis. So I didn't explain it to like I'm 5, more like 6.5 on that one, but kind of that's the explanation. And again, it's a wonderful company where we have really great IP, and we also, like I said, we're not like we value our customers, like, and end users. So like at the end of the day, I want to make sure you're successful if you go the Falco open source route or you go the commercial route as well. But there's benefits to either way depending on the end user.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if this is gonna be like published by tonight, João, but we have tomorrow, and it's gonna be recorded, the Bpf Summit, which is the technology that Falco is actually built on, right? So it's one of them, and I guess it's a good recommendation for anyone actually willing to take a look into some security stuff and some observability stuff. That Ebpf Summit is gonna have a bunch of good talks and a bunch of introductional talks as well, like Brandon Greggs and Liz Rice talking some really beginner stuff that anyone should watch. So probably the event is free. Probably I don't think it's gonna be like published by tonight because you still have a life and you have a child, right? but you have 2 childs. So I guess the last time I saw you, you have only one. So congratulations, João. but yeah, but it's a good stuff as well to learn and to take a look if you are concerned about security or observability, and Falco is actually really helpful on that as well.
I want to give a shout out to one of the talks. Apple is actually talking about using Falco. So Apple is using Falco live, and they're going to talk about how they're utilizing it. There's also another person who has a talk about Falco as well. But the way that I see it, eBPF, there's so many layers of what you can do with eBPF. Again, eBPF stands for Enhanced Berkeley Packet Filter, and basically what it allows you to do, it's almost a tap into the kernel. So allowing you to do things, to be able to have visibility, to be able to do troubleshooting, for you to be able to do security, right? So if you look at things like Cilium, which obviously Isovalent is Ebpf and Cilium is putting together that whole thing. There's things like that from a CNI perspective, you're able to kind of have this observability from the networking perspective. You see things like Keenvolk, right? Keenvolk also are using eBPF for troubleshooting, which Keenvolk is now part of Microsoft. And then lastly, Falco for security perspective. Again, having that little tap into the kernel with eBPF or kernel mods and those types of things, you're able to get this high level of auditability of what's going on within the pods that you wouldn't have with any other tool. So really love this summit. It's like from soup to nuts. It's got I think the Win eBPF folks are there as well, so it's gonna be really cool. Shout out though in the we have a co-located event. We're doing the Cloud Native eBPF show. It's the inaugural one, so it's myself, Liz Rice, Thomas Groff, and some other folks put together this thing. You all should definitely check it out. If you go to pound CN eBPF, if you can look it in a browser, you'll see. But it's a co-located event for KubeCon. We're gonna have some surprises. I might even get David involved for a couple of surprises. Kind because I got to throw him a bone every so often. Not a lot of people watch his show, so I just want to make sure that he's doing well. So,
ouch. I think we've said too many nice things about eBPF, so I'm going to say a few bad things now. I don't know if anyone saw the DEF CON talk from the team at Datadog, but they released a Ebpf Rootkit, which Fresbo, I mentioned earlier, actually used unclustered last week. And I want to just talk about how evil this was. It was a Bpf program that if the kubelet tried to read a file from a static pod manifest directory, it would redirect it to a different file on disk. But any other process on the machine, it would just load the real file. So I've got an API server running with 2 flags on it, and I have no idea how they got there, and I'm catting and vimming the config, and I cannot see where this change came from. And I spent 45 minutes banging my head against the table. No idea what to do. So Bpf is an amazing technology in the right hands, and a dangerous technology in the wrong hands. But that was a very valuable lesson, and I loved that episode too.
Okay. In the right hands.
Yeah. I'm just catting the same file over and over going, it's not here, where's the change? And, it turned out it was a Bpf probe that just told it to load something from a temp directory, but only for the kubelet. I mean, how do you debug that? How does anybody debug this? It's just pain all the way through.
How you know that thing is loaded, right? You don't. The thing with the Bpf that I am afraid of actually is like I was looking at Cilium and Calico stuff, and it's really hard to know like which interface got that Ebpf program loaded, right? So you have IP tables, you have NF tables that you can actually run commands to see the rules, but with Ebpf you just don't. And when you do, you don't know what that Ebpf program does because it's compiled, right? So
exactly. I mean, this Ebpf Rootkit that Datadog released at DEF CON actually also modifies the proxys calls. So even if you try to list the processes on the machine, it filters itself out. So you literally have no idea this thing is running on your machine doing all these bad things. It's really impressive, though. I recommend people check it out.
Real nice. I have one more question, and this is a tip that I want to receive from Wisely guys, and it's how to empower the dev teams and keep the reliability, the security, and the control that the company needs, but dev needs autonomy. They need the power to do things. How to keep this two conflicting? Right.
Come on, smarty pants, you go first.
So let me rephrase the question to make sure I got this.
I just eat gross things. I'm not smart, dude. That's what I do.
The question was, how do we empower and give teams autonomy to be able to get better and achieve all this stuff while at the same time mitigating risk? Is that close?
Yes.
I mean, that's $1 million question. So I think, I mean, it's all about building norms. And I'll kind of share, like, there's one thing I share with everybody that joins my show before we go live, and it's that never make up an answer. It's okay to say that we don't know, and if we have to Google something really, really simple, that's fine. Like, we don't want to portray norms that encourage rockstar developers or people that know everything, because it's just not how most of us work. So I always encourage them, if we don't know, to say we don't know, and let's actually work it out live together and just go Google it or ask people, ask the chat, the comments, etc. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that all teams can do, is build a culture with norms that allow you to just say that I don't know, or I made a mistake, or, whenever things go wrong, it's okay, right? Find where the lessons are there and make sure that the processes can be changed, that anything disastrous to your company, financially or otherwise, do not happen again, right? Because the problems that we face in technology are always process-based. They're never the people. Like, we don't blame the people. We have to fix the process. So, just changing those norms and providing a culture and an environment where we can all learn and share is probably the best advice I would give.
I'm going to take it from another angle, and that's if you look at it, and I agree with the culture aspect. I look at it this way, and prior to me being more community involved, again, I was chief field technologist for Sysdig, and I saw Fortune 50 companies trying to adhere to, like, there was a security team, there was a developer team, there's an operations team, and trying to like get those folks on the same page. The successful companies built a culture around embedding security. So basically, what that means is having something like risks and all of those things be a shared responsibility, not just on one team, right? Because what was in the past? Oh, developer comes in, the security team goes, no, 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 versus having it be a conjoined team that says, look, we're the SecOps team, or whatever the term du jour is for that. It's one team that says, here's how we're embedding this risk. Here's the things that were happening, because we know about all of the aspects of this. We don't expect the security team to know everything about the app, the application. We don't expect the application team to know all about its security, but together, that's the beauty of the community. Together, we're better than the sum of our parts, right? And so having all those things kind of, if you're embedding the security and you're using the power of open source and community internal to your companies, being able to like assume the risk together. If I go into, I look at this, I look at this as a microcosm. The greatest project in the world right now is Kubernetes. Why is it so successful? It's global. We have a release manager that's in India, for God's sakes, and you know what I mean. And he's and like Nabarun and the team and all of these folks getting this stuff together, and they're successful. How come you can't do this at with tens of thousands or whatever it is, thousands of developers, right? You can't do that at a company of like 20 to 25. Come on, talk to each other, build that culture of collaboration, build that culture of community. That's what we're doing with Cloud Native. And if you can't do that, you will not be successful in this current world. You just will not be. And even at larger companies, you need to adopt this thing. The future of open source is, the future of security is open source. The future of the world, I believe, is open source.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm running for president in 2023.
In Brazil, please, Bob.
Brazil. Radizio for everyone. That's my platform. Caipirinhas and Radizio for everyone for free. That's my platform.
Yes.
Go.
Actually, we need today. We just need the vaccine, but yeah, I want the caipirinhas and barbecues as well. Yeah, so I think that adding with what Pop and David they spoke. So my past job was on a government company here in Brazil, and after joining before joining VMware, sorry. And João know me from that past time. So I think that from what Pop said, we need to build a non-toxic collaboration environment, right? So, and I think this is what is actually cool in Kubernetes because and Cloud Native, because you don't have a stupid question. So when people say, "Hey, I have a stupid question," I try to say, "Hey, there is no such thing as stupid question," because usually your stupid question is a way that I'm gonna learn something. Right, so we try to build this non-toxic environment in Kubernetes, which you don't see in other projects and also in other companies, and this actually helps as well with what David said, that we need to take, not blame someone about something, but improve the process, and Kubernetes does this pretty well. So I don't know if you all are aware of, but one past bug in Kubernetes that made something be released was actually my fault of a PR, right? So I did a PR. I can't remember what thing was. I guess was in kubeproxy or something like that, and I broke something. And then we needed to fix that, and then came folks like Tim Hawking and Dan Winship, which are like amazing folks. They are like principal engineers from Red Hat and Google, and they started to discuss about that. And I say, hey, actually, I'm sorry about breaking this. I'm gonna try to not make more PRs like that one. And they gave me like a pep talk about, hey, there is no such thing as someone that needs to be blamed, because your PR was actually reviewed by us. So there is no blame. We need just to improve the process, and maybe we need to improve the tests about that. So I think this is the way companies actually need to follow, right? So instead of trying to figure out who who to blame, and like being competitive about who is the best doing something, which I really see. I really saw a lot in my like in past jobs, not only my past one, but you know how Brazilian companies they work, right, João? And this culture is changing right now here because we need people to collaborate to have like the best secure and actually performant environment. So this is actually a culture, and that's not a word like DevOps or SRE or something like that, but I guess it's a way that people need to collaborate with each other, and Kubernetes brings a huge lesson about that.
Yes,
Well said.
yes. Yeah, perfect. Real nice. Oh, the $1 million is answered.
I won my 1 million now. If someone wants to pay me, I really need that.
Okay.
David's
I
going
wanna
to pay
move-
you in haggis pizzas. What is the equivalent?
I want to move to New York and live near Pop, like having. No, I'm just kidding.
The house up the street is for sale. Just let me know. We'll put a bid in. We'll put a bid in.
Cool.
Hey, do you mind if I throw a shameless plug for a little show I run called the Popcast? You mind if I throw that out there? Yeah, I've been showing David how to tout his show. I'm showing how to advertise his show. Let me show you how real quick. If you all are familiar with like obviously the cloud native community, we talked about like this whole how we have these values, right, and all these things. So, I've been doing it now. It's 79 episodes. Tomorrow I have Alyssa Miller, who's amazing, InfoSec leader. We talk about like how to build careers. If you haven't already, check out at Popcast Pop on Twitter. You'll see like links for YouTube, and there's also an audio podcast as well. But it's been a really awesome thing. It's not so much talking in the weeds about technical details. I think David does that really well. Sorry. Ooh, that was weird. It hurts. And but in terms of like, we talk more about the people behind the code. And so it's, talking about the lessons that they learn. I mean, we talk about Tim Hawkins. Tim Hawkins been on the show. Kelsey Hightower's been on the show. I've had like, Solomon, who's, obviously the godfather, creator of Docker and those types of things. Also, it's translated. The last season I've translated into Portuguese. And by the way, thank you for Ricardo for helping on some of the earlier episodes of the season on it as well. So I would love you all to take a look. Again, it's at Popcast Pop. And I'm also at Popcast Pop if you all want to talk. And, I really am very supportive of the Brazilian community. I want to make sure I really someday want to come and visit you all because I love Rodizio and I love all you Brazilians. So it's like let's go have some fun together. So
I think we need to get you a medal or a trophy or something. You're not just the most supportive person in the Portuguese community. You're just the most supportive person in the cloud native community. It's like I see you all the time helping people and being nice and lifting other people up. And I don't think you get enough credit for all the work you do. So from me to you, thank you.
Stop it, David. Don't like, and I appreciate that. Now, all jokes aside, I appreciate it, man. I mean, again, I threw right back at you. And I really, like, all jokes aside, David and I, like, David is one of my best friends. And I'll throw that out there. I'm not supposed to say this live or whatever. We have this rivalry, but, like, I talk to him every day. And I seen, like, we started our shows at the same time. And to see the ascent that we've had with, like, folks like Sejam, other folks like Adrian Goings is really awesome as well. And it's like, I love to see the growth that we've had and we'll continue to grow because we're not here for these ulterior motives. We're here to make sure that folks are growing and doing things in this community because we had that hand up from other people. We want to help other people go forward.
Nice. Well, so before we finish, do you have any recommendation or any more shows that you're working on that people can watch and turn off Netflix and just leave Kubernetes every hour?
I was going to recommend the podcast, and now I can't because he plugged himself. But I do think it's I know he's just such a salesman, isn't he? But I think it's so important to humanize the projects and the code and sometimes just turn off the technical and try and remember that all of these projects, there's real people behind it. And just it just helps you get along better with everyone. It removes the frustration you may feel when you encounter bugs, maybe introduced by Ricardo, who knows. But there's just all these things, and learning about the people behind the project. I've always found that just a nice way to remember that there's more to this than the actual code and the output that we write.
Another good show, I know we have like 1 minute left, is Rich Burrows has a great show. It's Cube Cuddle. And I think David's on it, so I can't say as to his guest lists are kind of subpar, but it is what it is. But all jokes aside, he's really phenomenal. I think the way that he asks questions, he gets in the weeds, he pulls back, he talks about specific things. And also, like, one of the shows too, by the way, one more plug for Cloud Native TV show is Caslin Fields, Fields Tested. She has a show that basically during the course of the episode, she like basically will like almost like, you all remember that show Mythbusters? Was Mythbusters down in Brazil? And it's like basically it's like she's like, can I write a blog and put it in Kubernetes? That was her first episode. It was phenomenal, right? And now like she's like, can I run a game server in Kubernetes? Such a wonderful show, and just the way that Caslin presents things is just so like fun, like it makes you like giddy about what's going on. So another shameless plug. And again, all of this stuff is in one place. Every day of the week, we're on a hiatus right now until September, and then we're going to come out guns a-blazing with a bunch of really awesome shows and stuff. But every day of the week from Monday through Friday, we have shows on. We try to have like, one show per day. So there'll be a different thing for you to take a look at. So again, follow cloudnative.tv if you could. Again, it's CNCF Twitch, right? And so, and also obviously KubeCon is coming. There's a lot of really good co-located events. There's, Ebpf, there's Tag Security, there's Rust, there's Wasm Day. There's so many cool things. And look, let's everyone, like, again, that's the beauty of the community, is going to these shows, going in the hallway, talking to folks. And it's such an awesome thing, being able to interact with the heroes that you have. Like me interacting with Joe Beta a couple years ago is why I'm still doing this. Like Joe Beta and Craig McLucky and all of those folks, but they were so approachable. Nobody in this community should feel like you can't go to Kelsey Hightower and say, hey, what's going on? I love that about him, and it's something I emulate about him. But it's like we all should feel that way as we progress in our careers. Never, like, we have a bunch of students that are coming on. If you all see what Kunal has done and stuff like that, never feel like you're isolated in this community. I mean, folks from Brazil, reach out to us if you have questions. If it's I understand, like, English might not be your first language, right? Reach out to us. We'll figure out how to communicate with you. We'll figure out how to get you, because we need more people in this community doing great things. So
Yeah, agreed. Cool. So about my recommendations, I am gonna give 3 of them. So I have the non-technical one, which is a series that I've watched on Netflix, which in Portuguese it's called Como se tornar tirano, which in English is I guess tyrants. I don't know if you folks watched that, but it's with Peter Dinklage, the from Game of Thrones, and it's really fun. But by the same time, it's a really cool series to watch and see how tyrants they get into power, and how we need to be every time with our eyes open with things that happens in our in the world. And I'm not just talking about Brazil, but how we need to be aware every time and cautions about the things, how they develop. The second recommendation one, it's a soft skill one, which is kind of something new to me. But Carlisia Campos, which is Brazilian as well. That's Carlisia Thompson right now because she got married. Sorry, Carlisia. But she gave a really cool talk about how you foolproof your career with open source. I'm gonna send to João later. This talk is in English, but she also gave this talk in Portuguese, I guess, this last weekend into DevOps Extreme from Jefferson. And I think it's a good way for people willing to start working with open source to take a look into that. And I go with Pop that if you want to reach me, I wasn't developer. I am not actually a developer right now. I play that I am, but you can talk with me and say, hey, in Portuguese, like, if you are Brazilian but listening to this, hey, I need some help. I really try hard to help people to make their first contribution to Kubernetes and other projects, and João knows about that, and other folks. So please just reach me. And the third one, which is a more technical one, I'm gonna show this book, but I also am gonna tell about it. It's Programming Kubernetes by Michael Hausenblas and Stephen, which is this one. For folks willing to understand how Kubernetes, you want to see pop, that's this one. I can see you like on the this book.
Ricardo, I need to learn to read first.
Yeah, sorry, you just know how to talk, right? Yeah,
I let David do all that reading stuff.
So this is some more advanced book, but it's nice if you already work with Kubernetes and wanna start developing stuff around Kubernetes, like controllers and understanding how API works. It was a recommendation from Iago Nobre, which is a really friend of mine that also it's a Kubernetes contributor. And I guess that's all. And I don't think we are gonna have time more, but I was going to tell people to vote in Carlos for the shop wood and carry water, but I guess it's over.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Carlos
Right.
Panado. I wish we would have spent an hour just talking about Carlos. We could have had a whole week's worth of content. They would not have even touched the surface of what this guy is. Do you like, y'all? There's an award. Okay, you all can vote for this, I believe, right?
It's over. It's over.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
too
for
late.
if he doesn't win this year, I'm gonna be really pissed off, and I'm gonna make like everybody in Brazil vote him for the next time. Really, I'm gonna follow you all at home and make you all vote to Carlos.
Yeah, please vote.
Go ahead.
Well,
David.
the Carlos hour is good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, my recommendation, it's no technical. It's a nice show on Netflix. It's called Speed Cubers. It's these guys who play with cubes. 9 seconds, 3, 4 seconds. In 3 seconds, I can grab the cube. So it's real nice. And these two guys, Mark Park and Felix Sennings.
Yeah, go ahead, João. Sorry.
No, so it's a good show. It's not just about how to build this. It's the journey, the guy, and the competitions. So it's real nice.
Cool. I
So
follow Karen Brewer doing that stuff. You know Pop Karen with the cubes,
Who?
Karen and Duffy. Karen.
Oh, Karen.
Brewer, bro. Yeah. With those cubes, like in Twitter, I'm gonna send you her Twitter handler as well, John. And like, yeah,
okay.
those like 5-side cubes, and I say, hey, come on. Yeah. So
Karen Bruner. Karen Bruner, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She Karen has an awesome like suggestions about like documentaries to watch and stuff like that. So yeah, Karen's phenomenal. Shout out to Karen.
Okay. I will try to put all these links in the comments for the podcast. Okay, I will try. I'll make my best.
Okay. I will listen again and send them later, John. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for the time. Sorry for the time zones mistakes that I made, but thank for the.
David's a little bit of a diva. He needs his beauty sleep. So apologies, that he made you have a rough time at this whole thing.
His hair needs to get more. His hair needs to get more red. Like his lips just to get more red hair, right?
Wait, we didn't talk about the elephant in the room, David. Hold on, I know you got to leave, but let's look at Ricardo. Isn't it beautiful? Look at his head. It's beautiful, man. Bald is beautiful, baby.
Yeah,
you look like so much.
As I told you, it's like Amanda, which is my wife, and my mom Like, I am from a Jewish family, so I need to listen to my mom, right? And she told me that my hair was looking like Krusty the Clown hair, so I needed to shave it because it was just growing on the side. Yeah.
She asks you, please,
Yeah.
or I will
She
do. I will do.
asked. She asked. Yeah, cool, folks.
Nice, guys. Thank you.
So let's see how long we can keep David on. So let's open up another subject real quick. Oops. No, just kidding. Should we wrap it up, fellas?
Yeah. You know he can
Nice.
do a payback to you, right, Pop?
Oh, hey, trust me. I know he's got something. He's already got something in the chamber for me somewhere.
All right.
Thank you all. By the way, thank you, João. Thank you, Ricardo, for having us on. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
again your support of the community. And again, it's we love Brazil, and whatever we can do to support you all, you know how to reach us.
Thank you, folks. Thank you for being with us. I know that your time is actually pretty rare, but thank you.
No worries. Thank you all.
Have a good day.
See ya, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.